Okay, we are back on the record after our lunch break. Mr. Wolfenbarger is present here in the courtroom. And the purpose of our gathering before the jury returns for the afternoon session was to discuss and see about resolving, giving y'all rulings on the photographs issue. So during lunch, I had an opportunity to review the email that Mr. Fawcett forwarded to me. That was an email from Mr. McDermott regarding his objections to certain photographs. I've also had a chance to review the flash drive that was provided to me, which was a PDF of the various photographs, most of which are not objected to. I think my understanding is that the state had attempted to limit the photographs to some extent, and that Mr. McDermott was accepted that many of them that are in the PDF would be admitted, and that the ones we have still pending as objections have been identified by Mr. McDermott specifically by number. And so I'd like to just sort of take them up in turn, and understanding that the baseline here is these are gruesome photos because of the nature, the manner in which Ms. Wolfenbarger's body was disposed of, and that the manner in which the ME does its work and documents its work, that those things are necessarily gruesome and graphic. And so the question then becomes, are they relevant? And if they are relevant, are they overly prejudicial or for some other reason cumulative, et cetera? Mr. McDermott, if you want to start, I think your first one was photo number 35.
I'm trying to locate the file that has all
Sure,
I'm talking about.
that's fine.
I seem to have lost the email. Oh, I remember. Now I have that in the folder. Give me just 1 minute, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the number again, please?
35, which, so it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that at least the first few that you're objecting to, 35 through 51, 53, you might have additional objections, but it also seems as if your objection is to them in that clinical context, in the medical examiner's possession on like a white table, as opposed to, for example, Exhibit 16, which is also a photograph of the head that was recovered, but in the field as it was discovered.
Yeah, I just felt that I don't see what that adds. It's not necessarily to complete any part of the medical examiner's testimony, and I think it's just cumulative in that sense.
Okay. As we move on to 39 through 42, which again, I think it's fair to describe as sort of various photographs of admittedly a body part that I actually can't recognize by what it looks like.
Which one, the first one?
39 through 42, I just have them labeled generally as body parts. One of them might be a leg, but I don't know what I'm looking at because I don't have that training, so.
So again, we have pictures of body, I think that exact body part in the field. We have a picture of the black bag just like that already in the field. I don't see what it adds to the medical examiner's testimony to show the same photograph in the same way, just on a different table instead of the ground. So I just think that's cumulative and unnecessary.
Okay, so I did look through all of the photographs, and although I did note there's a relatively close-up photograph of the head, Exhibit 16, in the field. I saw distant photographs and closer-up photographs Maybe 21 is a closer up photograph, but the rest of them seem to be in the field, seem to be in plastic bags, as opposed to the actual body part that was recovered from inside the plastic bag.
21.
Yeah, the 21, I agree with you, does appear to be one body part that was not housed in a bag, and the photograph is taken of it in the field and it's a close-up. The rest of the photographs that I see in the field seem to either be not close-ups or of plastic bags. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Fawcett or Mr. Wilson, but I assume that the state's evidence is going to be that these were recovered to the extent they were in plastic bags at the scene, enough to ensure there were body parts in it, and then it was the medical examiner's job to remove those bags?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. And what about Mr. McDermott, 44 through 47?
Same objection.
And then 50, I don't even know what 50 is. Is it a tooth?
I believe that's, and this is from me talking to Dr. Terry, and
Yes,
she
sir.
wasn't even certain. But she thought it was like a top of the leg at the knee, and that's the cartilage between the knee joints, but maybe
Okay.
not.
Okay. This was, maybe because I don't know what it is or didn't recognize it upon seeing it, probably the least offensive of the photographs that I saw.
It's gory. It's almost like, rock collecting or something.
Right. But what is the nature of your objection to that particular one?
What does that do for the medical examiner's testimony? Because we're trying to get to the nature of the charges in this case.
Mm-hmm.
What does that lend to, relevant to her testimony toward those charges? I don't see any necessity. So we've got just one more body part that's random. Doesn't really apply to anything. We don't even know what it is.
And she wasn't even sure. What are we talking
I'm fine with removing that one, Judge.
Okay. We will remove 50. Okay. And then we move on to 51, which seems to be a collection of the various body parts. Is this after cleaning or before?
I think that this is before cleaning. I think that is before, Judge.
Okay.
Oh, well, clearly some of the bones have been stripped of any flesh that was on them. So I think you're looking at some of,
Well, that's why I asked the question. Do some of those bones, did they have flesh on them when they were collected? I don't know.
I'm not aware from any description of what was collected in the field and taken from the bags that they were just bones when they came out.
Okay.
So I think these are all, or at least the ones that are just bones here, have been stripped by the medical examiner.
Well, certainly, I don't know why the top portion of the leg, I don't know why that would be, why that wouldn't be stripped, and the ones at the bottom would. But I know that some of the testimony that I expect is that there was at least one animal that had gotten to the bag. There was the possibility of other animals, because the body parts were out in that wooded area for several months, and I would say in hot conditions. Which one thing the doctors will say is they can't, because of the conditions and the variables, they can't say what rate of decomposition there was. And the other point I would say to that is there's going to be some manipulation of the remains so that the medical examiner can examine and look at potential damage. For instance, I don't find anything particularly gruesome about just looking at a bone itself, especially one that's been stripped of flesh, if that's what indeed happened. But the bone in the condition that it is in the photographs when they examine it allow them to see the damage to it. That's what allows them to see the appearance of assault, striking the bone. So for that reason alone, that visual image should be allowed to be displayed for the jury. It aids the testimony of the expert, and it allows for that expert to explain why they believe there are signs of assault on the bones of Melissa Walker.
Okay. And then I have 53, 54, 57, and 59, which at least to my untrained eye, in the absence of evidence, seem to me to be an effort to document alleged saw marks, tool marks on the bones.
Yeah, and I was trying to make an effort to include at least one example of each one of those that's independent. But where double pictures of the same thing. I think it's cumulative and unnecessary. That's also why I think that, you know, we've got these close-ups where there are tool marks. That's why we don't need a whole table with the bones laid out. That you can't see any tool marks from that distance anyway. That's just cumulative and gory for no other reason. Doesn't document anything the medical examiner did except take the flesh off the bones. But, and maybe I missed one, that's fine, I'll hear about it, but as far as going through the list, I tried to include one example of each specimen that had tool marks that was unique. And I only object to the ones I thought was cumulative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one second, Mr. Fawcett, because I am going to let you respond. So to be clear, I didn't just limit my review to the numbers that Mr. McDermott mentioned, right? I was looking at them as, trying to take them as a whole with particular attention to the ones that you had asserted, looking for things like needless accumulation that would just be gory for no reason versus particular reasons. Again, without any context, I don't know if, for example, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58 are different bones with saw marks in them or different angles of the same saw marks on the same bone.
I can't tell you with definitive accuracy, but my inclination was 54, 55 were the same, just different angles.
And Mr. Fawcett, the point of my asking that question is I believe that the presence of tool marks and the demonstration of them is relevant. Nobody's going to enjoy that process, but it's relevant and needs to be presented. If it is different bones, right, saw marks on multiple bones, I don't think that's cumulative. If it is, unless you anticipate that the medical examiner is going to say that there is a specific reason for two different photographs from, say, two different angles or something like that of saw marks on the same bone, then I would ask the state to endeavor to further limit the photographs.
Yeah.
So to Mr. That's okay, sorry. So to Mr. McDermott's point, if it is three angles of the same saw marks on the same bone, then perhaps one would be sufficient unless you're going to tell me that the medical examiner has a particular reason for having taken that photograph in the manner at which it was taken in order to enable them to conduct their examination.
In light of that, Your Honor, I would propose taking out Exhibit 55, 58, and 59. I believe that would eliminate, and you know, the intent of including 55 and 54 was that the different angles I think would aid the testimony, but I think that the expert can testify based off of the one photo. So I would propose taking out 55, 58, and 59.
Okay. So
Your Honor, did I already object to 53?
you did?
Okay. I'll wait till, did we talk about that one yet?
No, I wanted to start with the saw marks because it appeared to my eye that your point was that, and I thought that was correct, that there were multiple angles of the same saw marks on the same bone, and absent some particular showing of necessity of multiple angles of it, I wanted to see if we could pare that down. Now, going back to the 53, really it's the group of photographs from, say, 39 to 53, which are the various body parts. As a general proposition, their existence and condition in the field is relevant and admissible, right? Those photographs that document that, as long as they're not cumulative, as long as we don't have 7 photographs of the same thing. I believe that starting with 44, it might be, well, no, I think all of them are. Starting with 35 through 53, they're all in the ME's office, right? Those are all as part of documenting. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. other than, Mr. McDermott, is your argument that, I think I heard one argument, which was that they are the photographs 35 through 53 are cumulative of photographs in the field and don't need to be shown again. Do you also assert that photographs between 35 and 53 are cumulative of one another, that there are multiple photographs?
In some cases, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So the same request I made earlier, Mr. Fawcett, and I trust that you endeavored to already do that. But to the extent that the photographs taken in the medical examiner's office are necessary and relevant to demonstrate how the examiner examined the remains to arrive at their opinions, I think those are relevant and admissible despite their graphic nature. Thank you. But I would also want to avoid needless repetition of the same photograph.
In further, further effort to comply with the court's instruction, I would propose eliminating 39, 38, and 35. I believe that would eliminate the two photographs of the head. That would just be the head and the field. 39 would be I believe, looks like a knee portion to me. There would still be that photograph of that in the field, and it might benefit the jury that it's not as close up as that. And then 35, which is the neck. So I
No,
think
35 is the head.
35 is there. Okay, so then I would take out 38.
Okay.
And I think 36 and 37 are representative of, I think, both sides of that neck column, so I would propose that.
Okay. Mr. McDermott?
Well, I'm fine with those deletions. I would also ask that 53 be deleted because it's repetitious of 56. And although I think there's a question to be asked fairly, on 53 you can see the kind of connective tissue at the far right side. If that was part of the examiner's testimony, that that's how part of how the leg was removed or something of that nature, it would be more relevant. But I would say choose between one of those two photos. I would prefer 56 because it's less gruesome.
53 and 56.
They're the same bones from different angles.
Mr. Fawcett?
I'm fine with that, Judge.
Okay, so which one?
53.
I'm sorry, you'll remove 53 or you'll remove 56?
I'll take out 53.
Okay. So what I have so far is the state has agreed to remove 35, which is a second photograph of the head, even though we have a close-up of the recovered head in the field, which is remaining in evidence. That the state has agreed to withdraw 38, 39, 53, I'm sorry, 50, 53, 58, and 59. So with those agreements to remove those photographs, Mr. McDermott, other than your objection to the nature of the evidence and its graphic nature, et cetera, do you still specifically have other objections you wish to make a record of?
Unless I wrote them down and you have it?
Yes, sir.
Then no.
Okay. Well, to try and be as clear as I can, to make the record as clear as we can, Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 35, and 35 has been voluntarily withdrawn by the state. Mr. McDermott did not move to remove 38. He did move to exclude 39 through 42. The state has agreed to remove 39, but to keep 40, 41, and 42. So to the extent necessary, I'm going to deny Mr. McDermott's motion to exclude photographs number 40, 41, and 42. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 44, 46, and 47. I'm denying that motion. As to Mr. McDermott moved to exclude photograph 50, the state has agreed to remove that one. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 51. That motion is denied. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 53. 53 has been voluntarily withdrawn by the state. Mr. McDermott moved to exclude 54, 57, and 59 that are various angles of saw marks. Other photographs in the packet that the state has offered, including 55, 58, and 59, are various angles of those same saw marks. And the state has agreed to withdraw 55, 58, and 59. And based on that showing, the defendant's motion to exclude 54 and 57 are denied, and the defense's motion to exclude 59 is granted because the state agreed to withdraw it. Anything else, Mr. McDermott, about the photos?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Fawcett, anything that we need to take up before we get started with the evidence?
No, Judge, if I could just have a few minutes to take out the exhibit.
I was just going to say, yeah, and I'll run through them again. You have, my notes indicate, agreed to withdraw 35, 50, 53, 58, 59.
Yes.
Is that going to give me enough time for a comfort break?
Yes, although I do have all my jurors, so as soon as y'all can get back and be ready, we'll be ready.
Told by the jail that they have lost their clippers. And I don't know if there's anything you can do about that, other than maybe scold them mightily. But it would be very helpful. I got to do what I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, deputies, can you do me a favor? I entered a grooming order 2 days ago for Mr. Wolfenbarger. He's still not been allowed or enabled to have a haircut. If I could ask the two of y'all to please prioritize that and communicate it to whomever you need to so that that can happen today in advance of tomorrow, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. McDermott? Okay. We have everyone back, and I'm told that we have all of our jurors. Are we ready to get started yet? I don't want to rush. Mr. Fawcett asked for a moment.
Yes, Your Honor. I just would let the court know the first witness does require a wheelchair,
Okay.
so he may take a little bit of time to, but should I go ahead and tell
Is
you?
that person going to be able to get on the witness stand, or are they going to, we're just going to,
Probably on the side or the front or however you would do it.
okay, are we concerned at all about volume?
Can't know until he, maybe.
Okay.
Is there a portable mic that we could get a hold of?
Technically, these things, although they are affixed very well, are in fact removable if it came right down to it. I'm not worried about the jury hearing the person. I'm worried about the court reporter and the other people in the courtroom.
I mean,
Oh, it's a next to the
Yes, sir.
Probably.
Like the whole base.
I mean, you can do it. And he's going to be right here. Yeah. I think
Okay.
that's the best way to do it.
That is the best way to do it. Okay. State's ready. Mr. McDermott, is defense ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're ready for the jurors. All please be seated. State may call its first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls George Meachern.
Okay. And if you'll turn around, sir, so that you'll be facing sort of this general direction towards the deputy, where the deputy's standing, if you can. Turn a little bit more so you're facing the deputy so you won't have your back to the jury. That's good, sir. Now, are you able to raise your right hand, sir? Okay. If you would, thank you.
This is Mom, you're about to get the court today. Shall you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may lower your right hand, state and spell your name for the record, please.
George, W. McKeegan, that is spelled W-M-C, after V-A-C-H-E-R-N.
Okay. Mr. Meachern, this is the judge talking. I'm behind you, so don't worry about that. If you could, just because you don't have a microphone, if you could just try to speak up when you're answering questions to make sure everyone in the courtroom can hear you. Okay, sir? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you live in Atlanta, sir?
I do, sir.
How long have you lived there?
28 years.
And did you ever live in the area of Avon Avenue, in the general area?
I do, sir.
Do you still live there?
I do, sir.
How long have you lived at your present address?
And I started this when I was 49 years. 49 years.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. What did you do? What did you do for a living?
I want these things for my very son.
I apologize. We can't hear him.
I work at
Hold on a second, sir. Should I try to get the microphone?
I'd say give it a try. Together.
Would you like to try?
Yes, please.
That's
It's coming, though. I can see it moving.
all right.
You see if you can get closer to the microphone that we have there for you, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Yes, for now. Hang on. I apologize. Why don't you have him come to the podium, and against all directions, we're going to have him move. We're going to move the microphone. Thank you. Just bend it down towards me. I'm going to have him right here. Yes, ma'am. And then, Mr. Meachern, if you could turn a little bit more and face the jury, please, sir. And now.
Yes, George W. Meachern.
Much better, sir. Thank
Last
you.
name spelled capital MC, capital EACHERN.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Your Honor. And do you remember in April, at the end of April of 1999, an unusual thing you found on Avon Avenue?
Yes, I went for a walk that morning to the bank, and on my way back, I came up Avon Avenue, and as
And what did you see?
I saw a head, a human head that was laying in the street. So I walked up to it, and I looked down at it, and I saw it was a head.
How did you know it was a head?
Well, through my training in mortuary science and funeral directing, I recognize human heads.
Human head?
Yeah.
What did you do?
I took a stick and I moved it out of the street to the curb of the road,
Why did you do that?
so it would be intact. I didn't want anybody, another vehicle to come and crack it up. So I moved it to the corner.
Could you repeat the last part where you said, I think you said crack it?
I did not want a vehicle to come and run over their head and deform it. Because I saw it belonged to somebody.
What did you use to move it?
I broke off a stick. And I took the stick and I was trying to push it over to the curb.
Did you see anything else unusual on Avon Avenue on that day? I mean, was there any other things that you can recall?
Well, I didn't know some birds, some birds flying up in there, looked like buzzards.
Okay.
And I recognized that might have been the reason why they were there. But I told the officer after I called them that I thought there could be something else out there in the woods because the buzzards were still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, after you found the skull, what did you do next?
I went home, I got my daughter, because she was in criminal justice,
Okay.
and I wanted her to see the head.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did your daughter come with you?
She did.
And what did you do next?
Called the police,
Okay.
called 911.
And after you called 911, how long did it take? Do you remember how long it took the police to get there?
That recognition said right now. It wasn't long, but right now I cannot recall how long it was.
Okay.
But
you
they
didn't think
did.
it was long?
No, I didn't think it was long. But
How
they,
many police? Do you remember how many police showed up?
no,
Was it just one or more than one?
I don't know. I know there were one.
Okay.
I do know there were one. There could have been more than one, okay?
Because you talked to the one?
Yeah, I talked to the one, yeah.
Okay. And did you do any? Did you go anywhere after you initially told the police out on the scene? Did you go anywhere with the police?
I do know I had to go downtown,
Okay.
but I can't recall whether it was the same day or not, or whether it was a few days later. But I do know I went down to the Atlanta Police Department.
Okay.
I think it was down there, Georgia State College, Tonsil Leon, somewhere down in there.
You went to the headquarters?
I went to the headquarters, I think it was.
And
You-
I assume you told them what you saw?
I told them the same thing I'm telling you now. Yeah.
And do you remember if you gave any statement or had to sign a statement or anything, just saying what you did?
I'm pretty sure I had to, sir. I'm pretty sure I had to.
I'm going to show you a piece of paper. Do
Okay.
you recognize that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your signature?
It's my signature.
Yeah, could you read it real quickly? Is that the statement that you gave?
Sir, I'm going to be honest with you in the courts. When I gave this report, I was walking, I was younger, I could see better,
Well, can you read it?
and right now I cannot make this out.
Okay.
Let's say too damn around. I don't have my glasses with me.
Are they around?
I don't know, but baby, you have my glasses like that?
Mr. Wilson, just to clarify, are you asking the witness to read it to himself, or are you asking him to read it out loud?
Read it to himself to see
Thank
if it
you.
refreshes his recollection.
Okay. Look at the mirror. Thank you.
Do you need some assistance, sir? Apparently not.
What you want me to do? Just
Does that help you?
Yes, you may read it to myself. I have.
Yeah, read it to yourself real quick.
Okay. The true, all but a few, maybe a few sentences.
Do you know?
I was driving. I wasn't driving. I was walking at the time.
I apologize. I think you
Say that
said,
again.
yeah.
I wasn't driving. I was walking at the time.
Okay. Did you?
Yeah.
Does that help refresh your recollection
Yeah,
at all?
sure, it does.
Do you remember finding anything else other than a human head?
I don't.
Okay. Now, how long have you've lived in Atlanta your whole life?
No,
Where else did you live?
no.
Or how long have you lived in Atlanta?
Ever since 1960.
Ever since 1960?
Yes.
And Avon Avenue, is that located in Fulton County?
It is.
May I just have one moment, Your Honor?
Sure. Thank you. Mr. McDermott, questions for this witness?
Just a couple, Your Honor.
Sure.
Good afternoon.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Just a couple questions.
Okay.
You said you informed the officer on the scene that there were buzzards certainly overhead. Is that correct?
I did.
And did they go over and check anything else, to your knowledge?
I don't know. They told me they were going to, but I think what happened, a few days later, somebody came by my house and told me that they had found another body part, and they were going to try to match the head with that body part. However, as far as I can remember, sir, it wasn't in Atlanta they had found that body part. I think he told me to find somewhere near Griffin, Macon, or somewhere down in the area. Somebody told me they had found a body part, and they were trying to mess it up. And that's the last I heard of that.
Is this a walk that you took every day or frequently?
No, this was a walk that I decided I wanted to walk that morning to the bank.
Did you ever normally travel up and down Avon Avenue?
Sometimes.
Did you ever notice any dogs?
Well, there are homes in that area. I'm sure there's dogs in that area
Or did you
also.
ever see any when you were traveling up and down Avon Avenue?
Yeah,
Do you remember? All right, thank you.
No.
That's all the question I have.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Meachern, you are excused as a witness. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, we would call Dale Kelly.
Okay. And if you could move that mic back,
Yes, ma'am.
and then we're all going to try not to touch it again. Thank you. Before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give for today shall be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
You may go and remain in these seats and say, spell your name for the source report, please.
Careful. That chair is on wheels and there's a ledge next to you, so
Yeah,
make
sure.
sure and stay closer to me than the edge, okay? Thank you, sir.
Dale, Kelly, Kelley.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
Retired,
What did you do before you were retired?
law enforcement for 42 years.
And let's go through your law enforcement career. Where did you first become a law enforcement officer?
In 1979 in the city of Atlanta.
And when you were hired, did you have to get? Well, tell us about your hiring at the city of Atlanta.
July 2nd, 1979 was the first day I started the Atlanta Police Academy. We were there for 12 weeks, and then after you got out of that, you rode with a senior officer for 12 more weeks in field training. I became a patrol officer. I was assigned to Zone 1, which is northwest Atlanta at that time. 83, I was promoted to detective. I did vice for about 6 months. That was during Eldon Bell. He thought all new detectives needed to go undercover and then come out and get in a regular division. I went to sex crimes. I worked in sex crimes, total of 13 years, but whenever they had a sexually related homicide, I would get pulled over and help the homicide detectives work a sexually related homicide. And then in 1996, I was permanently assigned to homicide.
In 19, were you post-certified?
Yes.
Are you still post-certified?
No, I do not keep my mandated.
Okay. And when did you leave the city of Atlanta?
I retired in 2000 from the city of Atlanta, went to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, worked there, started in the jail, worked patrol. I went to CID. From CID, I made sergeant, and I was a night shift sergeant for a patrol shift. And then I went to the fugitive unit, the warrant unit in plain clothes. And then from there, I made lieutenant and was over the transport and civil division.
Now, did you receive any specialized training in investigations?
Yes, I mean, I've been as far as California on missing persons, violent crime network training. I've been to Valencia College 3 or 4 times on advanced sex crimes, advanced homicide, crimes, and like that.
Now, during 1999 and around April, could you describe what you were in the homicide division at that time?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury what happens when you get how does that work? Or how do you get assigned cases or what?
Well, okay. You were on a rotation system where you were up on call, and if anybody called for a homicide unit, you would answer and go wherever they asked you to go. You didn't go by yourself. Half the time the whole unit would go. You were just the lead, and they would do other jobs needed at the scene.
And when you say lead, what does that mean to you?
You were up on call, and the case was going to get assigned to you.
And when you're lead, what kind of things do you focus on?
Well, you get to the scene, you try to focus on directing the identification people to do fingerprints some places, sometimes you don't, take pictures and stuff like that. You may ask like the officer, the first responding officer, if there's a witness at the scene or something, you get the officer to take himself and the witness to the homicide office where they could give statements.
And let me draw your attention specifically to April 29th, 1999. I assume you were on call that day.
Yes.
And did you receive a call regarding a unexplained, well, I mean, what kind of call did you receive that day?
The way it works is Zone 3 Unit 2304, which meant he was a day shift unit working 304's beat, came over detective radio and called for a homicide unit. Each zone, and Atlanta still has 6 zones, they all have their own radio frequency. Detective division had their own frequency, and they would just switch their radio over to the detective frequency and call for a homicide unit.
So it was your turn,
It was my turn.
and where were you told you needed to report to?
He told me to come to the intersection of Avon and Hartford Way Southwest in Atlanta.
And what did you do?
I got in the car with the lieutenant, and investigator Tina Miller also rode with the lieutenant, Tony Biello, and we rode to that location.
And why did Investigator Miller accompany you?
Again, on a homicide, you need as many people as you can out there. We didn't know what we had other than a unit calling for us, and we could always use help.
Okay, so she went along?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you got to that location, what did you observe?
When I rolled up, there was a decomposing head in the road standing upright. There's an old black plastic bag to the side, and there's an old mangy, like a stray dog with matted hair and all, kind of nasty, running around out there.
Okay. And do you recall where that skull was located?
It was on the side of the roadway, it was actually on the Avon side, because we used the address of 858 Avon Avenue.
Now, when you're investigating a crime scene, is it important to document information?
It is, yes.
And you document through reports and also pictures?
Well, you call for I didn't take the pictures. I called for our ID section to come take the pictures, and it's up to them to document their pictures.
Okay. No, what I mean is that it's important to take pictures of
Yeah,
crime scenes,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. May I approach a witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3 through State's Exhibit 20. Could you please look at those and tell the jury what those are?
They're pictures of the general area of where it was located, and ID had saw certain objects. They put the little plackets up at, and it's,
Could you look through those, please?
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are those true and accurate pictures of what you observed that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'd ask to admit States 3 through Exhibit 20, which are photos of the scene.
No objection.
Okay, Mr. Samuel, thank you. Exhibits 3 through 20 are admitted.
And I would ask to publish some of the pictures to the jury as we go through the testimony as far as
Okay.
a warning.
Thank you. That's what I was waiting for you to ask.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as we discussed during the process of jury selection, I told you that I would warn you when we were going to show you photographs that are maybe graphic in nature. So I'm giving you a heads up that some of these photographs may be graphic in nature. Thank you. State may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Show you what's been marked as, or what's been admitted as State's Exhibit number 3. Could you kind of describe that picture in detail for the jury as best you can?
It's a overall shot of the area where the head was found.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Sir, I'm sorry.
If
It's
you
a
could pull that microphone towards you, I think that'll be easier as well.
It's an overall shot of the area where the head was found, and the head's actually in the photo to the left here, or my left sitting looking at it, and you see where the patrol cars had blocked off the street.
But I do see some yellow things with numbers
Yeah.
on them. What are those?
Plackets, ID team uses, they see stuff, or maybe an investigator will point out to put a placket, take a picture so that it can be described later in their reports.
Okay. And what other items were there other than the placards?
Whether,
Or I'm sorry. What other items were there than the skull that you described earlier?
there was a black plastic bag. It appeared to have decomposition in it, hair, and fluids.
And was that significant to you as a investigator?
Yeah, later, when the cadaver dogs were called out, other body parts were found in the black plastic bag, and also had fluid in it that ended up being bleach.
Okay. So when you saw those pieces of evidence, I assume that was kind of the first thing that was kind of done at the scene?
Yes, I cannot legally touch any body out there. It's all up to the medical examiner. I can look at it, I can have photographs taken of it, I can note it, but that's entirely up to the medical examiner's office to do any collection of body or body parts.
Were they contacted? Did you guys contact them or?
Yeah, they came out to the scene.
Okay, do you recall who came out to the scene?
Mary Beth Happel and Dr. John Parker.
Okay.
The Mary Beth is an investigator for Fulton County Medical Examiner, and Dr. Parker was a medical examiner.
Okay. And what did you do? What did you do next?
Well, we started, hard to run an investigation if you don't know who your victim is, and this one's even doubly hard. We didn't know what sex the person was.
Why is that?
The decomposition of the facial and the torso, we never found it. So you couldn't ever determine a sex at that time. The feeling is the torso contains the guts of thing, and it would smell more, and the animals out there would have eaten it quicker.
Okay. Do you recall what the conditions were like that morning?
Yeah, I noted it.
Would you have noted that in your report?
Yeah. As I rode over with Lieutenant Biello and Investigator Miller, the weather conditions to be overcast with a intermittent mist, and the temperature was in the low 60s with a brisk breeze.
So after you got there and after the medical examiner got there, what did you do next?
Nothing could do much other than make a report.
Did you talk to do you remember speaking to any witnesses?
Well, there's a gentleman who had found the head. Gentleman's just in a wheelchair, but he wasn't in a wheelchair at that time. I talked with him. I sent him to the homicide office to give a statement, and the officer on the scene took him there for a statement.
Do you recall any other actions that you did out there at the scene that day?
That day, no.
So at this point, all you had was a skull and some plastic bags, pretty much.
Yeah.
Did anything, did you find anything else? And on a different day?
On a different day, yes. That's,
Were you called back out to the scene?
yes, went back out there with the medical examiner's office. They had gotten in some cadaver dogs from Cobb County. These people who owned the dogs were not associated with law enforcement in any way. They were just citizens who trained their dogs to become cadaver dogs and would help agencies as they needed it. And they came back out there, and that's when we started finding hands, feet, and other body parts. They were also in a black plastic bag like I described earlier, and they were always double wrapped. There was always 2 bags per body part. That kind of makes sense with me there.
And I don't know, I don't know if you said, do you recall what date you went out to the scene?
The first, it was April 29th, and then this was June 3rd.
So that's approximately, what, a month?
Month and a half later.
Month and a half later?
To get it set up.
Now, is the president, you mentioned bleach earlier, you mentioned bleach earlier.
Yes.
Is that significant to collection of DNA?
Not for the collection, for the destroying of DNA.
Your Honor, we've not been given an expert notice with regard to this witness.
Your response?
Well, Your Honor, I think that's not, I think it's something that a police officer can, based on police officers' evidence collection, could probably, could testify to as within their knowledge.
Okay. If you want to lay that foundation, I likely will allow it. Overruled for now, Mr. Samuel. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you learn about bleach?
Well, DNA, it's not the same as today. This was in the beginning stages of DNA. And a lot of things would interfere with DNA. When I worked sex crimes, if there was anal sodomy, the feces would ruin the DNA and you couldn't test it. Learned that bleach and
Where did you
gas,
learn
training
that?
classes I took
Okay.
that would hurt DNA. Nowadays, they probably can do it even if there's bleach on
Well,
it.
what did you learn about bleach at that time of your training?
That it would interfere with the ability to do DNA evidence with what they had to test with at that time.
Your Honor, at this time, I believe I've laid the foundation based on his
Samuel?
training.
And we still then never got notice of him being an expert. So if he's giving expert testimony about DNA, you're entitled to be given notice of that.
Okay. I understand your objection, but it's going to be overruled, and to the limited extent you've been asked the question, I'm going to let him answer it. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think he's already answered it.
I think he has.
Okay. What did you do? After you went out and on the in June? What did you do next on this case?
There's nothing I could do until, again, you can't start much of an investigation until you know who the person, what sex the person is, who the person is. You have nowhere to start. So Investigator Miller, who worked adult missing persons, is assigned to homicide. She would attempt to identify the body. Medical examiner's office was trying to identify. They could hook up with other medical examiner's offices and do the thing, and hook up and see if they had any information. I retired in 2000.
Okay. Well, and that was, you never got an answer by the time you retired?
No.
Okay. May I just have a moment, Your Honor?
Sure.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Samuel?
Detective Kelly, my name is. At
won't happen a second time.
That's okay.
It won't happen a third time. Detective Kelly, I don't believe we've met before, even though we've been around a long time together. So a couple questions. First of all, you said something about a dog on the scene. Do you have any reason to believe that that dog had ever moved the skull at all?
I believe so. I believe the dog drug it out of the woods. And
Or you're just speculating about that?
there was a video, VHS recording.
Can you stick with the microphone?
There was a VHS recording at one time that showed the dog dragging the bag out of the woods. Now, I don't know where it's
Dragging
at
the
now.
bag with the skull out of the woods?
Yes.
There was no detectives out there until after the skull was already there.
VHS recording. That's a security camera. It's so old. It was
Where is the evidence of that?
I'm sorry.
Has anybody ever had evidence of that? Is that in any police report anywhere?
I don't know.
Are you just kind of making it up today?
No.
I've read every report you've ever written, every report every other detective has
you haven't
written.
written all written. There are reports missing. I don't know why, but there are some reports missing.
Have you told the DAs there are reports missing?
Yeah. But I mean,
Which DA did you tell that there are reports missing?
gentleman here just questioned me
Uh-huh.
that I had more reports in this file and they're not.
And
nowhere to be found.
where's the VHS?
I don't know.
Did you tell them there was a VHS recording that's missing? You told
Yes,
Mr. Wilson that? When did you tell him that?
the other day when he called me.
You told him the other day?
Sir?
You told him the other day?
Yes.
Is there a
Called
reason
me
you...
last week. Yeah,
And what else did the recording show?
just that.
Did it show how the skull got there at all?
Just what I described.
A dog pulling it out of the woods. Where from what part of the woods? Well, it's not in your report, you know that.
I'm telling you, I have reports missing out of this file. This is not my whole file.
Take your time.
It's from the wooded area where when we returned with the cadaver dogs, it was coming from that area where the other bodily parts were found in the woods.
What did the dog look like?
Like it was a stray dog, the hair was all matted and nasty looking.
Was there any dog hair found on the skull?
I don't know.
Was there any testing done of the skull to show that a dog had moved it?
I don't know how you do that because remember the black plastic bag? It was ripped open. The dog was toting the bag and it fell out.
And you saw a video of that.
Yes,
What did you do with the video?
it was put in evidence.
You know, I think we need to take a break and talk to the district attorney's office for a moment here.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to step out for just a few minutes. It's 2:21. I'll try and get you back in here as quick as we can. Thank you all.
All rise for the jury.
Moment, please. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Don't wander far, okay? Mr. Samuel, that witness has now left the room.
Well, I have a couple questions. I'd like to know, first of all, whether Mr. Wilson will either corroborate or dispute that he's been given information about video camera evidence that's lost, his reports that are lost, evidence that they knew that the dog had dragged the skull out of the woods into the road. There's no police report about it, and now it turns out his actual statements are missing, all of which apparently he told the DA's office, none of which even comes close to ever having been revealed to us, ever.
Mr. Wilson?
If I could respond to this, Judge, because I was talking directly with this witness on this issue. If the court
Okay.
will allow that.
Sure.
All right. I do have information about the comment about the dog from this witness. We were not able to locate the video. I didn't know there was a video of that description until I had that discussion with this witness. The detectives, Shepard, suspected that there was a dog or dogs in the area that may have carried the head out from the wooded area to the street where it was located. That's been his theory since the beginning of the case.
Right, but inferring that from the presence of a dog that Mr. Meachern testified to is different than we recovered some sort of surveillance video that showed it, but then we lost it.
Sure, and that was never intended to be introduced into evidence by the state. That's why it wasn't elicited during direct. We had a video cassette. We had several small mini cassettes. At the beginning, before the case was indicted, those were submitted to a company in DeKalb, and they were transferred over to a thumb drive, which was submitted in discovery. And they're labeled as such, converted VHS. It's in discovery. But that's the only VHS cassette that I've received from APD Annex. The multiple times we've done it, I don't have a VHS cassette.
Okay, hang on. The physical nature of the physical medium in which the state might have it or not have it, I think is less important at this point than does the state have some sort of video that would line up with what this witness is saying he observed, like some digital video recording of that image?
I don't.
Okay. And so the videos that you're saying you were aware of that were reduced by a private company to a flash drive or something and were produced in discovery, what are those?
Those are all statements. When it, witness interviews,
Okay.
which have been turned over.
Okay.
That's the only VHS cassette that I've seen in this case. A lot of mini cassettes that have also been converted. I only had one VHS cassette.
Okay. I appreciate that. Again, I think it would be easy to identify it if it was a VHS, in your possession. But I think more importantly is, does anybody know that such a video ever existed, whether on VHS or anything else?
I didn't have a documentation of that in the Detective Calhoun's report. I didn't have documentation of that in Detective Shepard's report. And I didn't see any reports that Detective Kelly had written that elicited that information. And of course, all the reports that I have from Detective Kelly appeared to be complete.
Okay.
I had no reason to believe they weren't. But, so like I said, I never intended that this information would come in because I didn't have a way to authenticate it. Other than that detective's testimony, I knew that wouldn't have been permissible to elicit it. He had just him testifying to it.
Okay.
I never intended for that to come out.
Mr. Samuel? I think the answer to your first question is, well, actually, to be honest, now that I'm trying to put it in words, I'm not actually sure I'm clear on what the answer is. And that was why I was trying to make the distinction between the VHS and the video.
Yeah. Let me explain to you how I see the problem. We have been working on this case, Mr. McDermott in particular, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for Lord knows how many months at this point. He's been in communication with the DA's office. There's been a lot of open file. And yet apparently they're not telling us about evidence that's lost, about videos that are lost, about their second witness on the stand who's saying he was the chief investigator in the case and some percentage of his reports are lost. Now, either the DA's office says they were oblivious to all of that and they learned that the same time I did, or they've known it all along and didn't tell anybody. Meaning you, us, the destruction of evidence, the loss of evidence that may be important, the loss of police reports from witnesses. From a chief investigator from the original crime scene, he says his reports are missing, and nobody's telling us that the witness is just going to, blurt that out on cross-examination for the first time. And, this business about bleach is not in his report. There's references to bleach in the report, but according to the crime lab that we interviewed, it had nothing to do with bleach in the bags. It was bleach that was done by the crime lab. to clean the bones.
And that's a matter for cross-examination.
Well, but he's saying now he's saying I've got bleach in the bags. There's no report anywhere that says that.
And again, that's a matter for cross-examination unless there is some report that has not been provided to you. But I'm going to ask you to put a pin in that for a moment and revisit this with Mr. Fawcett or Mr. Wilson. I'm still not sure I understand the answer to the question, which is, before Detective Kelly took the stand, did the state have an understanding that he believed there were other reports that he had made that were missing, number one, and number two, that he believed there was a video showing what he's described about a dog with a bag in its mouth pulling it into the street, which was containing some body part or other? Two questions. What are the answers to those two questions?
Yes, I was providing that information last week when I spoke with him.
Okay. And what efforts did you take to determine if such evidence did in fact ever exist and or was lost or in your possession?
Well, I went back through the file to see if there were additional reports by Detective Kelly. So the reports from Detective Kelly, I sent him portions from the file that we turned over. I went through our additional discovery. I saw additional reports that were turned over. Similar reports to the first one. They were 1 or 2 pages, so not what he's discussing. But I wasn't able to locate any additional reports by Detective Kelly, and that's been through the several times that I've gone through the discovery.
Okay. Okay, so you were aware that Detective Kelly believed that there were other reports that were not in your file?
That was last week, yes.
Okay, but I understand you only became aware of it last week, but you did become aware of it at some point.
That's correct.
And what about the second question, which is, were you aware that Detective Kelly believed there was some sort of surveillance video that had been recorded at the time that reflected what he's described?
Yeah, that's the same conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you disclose, and I'm not implying here that you were obligated to, we can have that conversation in a moment. My question though is, did you disclose to the defense at any time that Detective Kelly believed that there were reports that were missing or that he believed there was a surveillance video that was missing?
I did not have that discussion, no.
Okay. Mr. Samuel, I think I've gotten the answer to those questions. Go ahead.
Well, I have the same. The first question says, why would you not disclose that to the defense? That we're going to put a witness on the stand who, in essence, is going to ambush you on cross-examination because you think, defense counsel, you have all of his reports. We know you don't. So if you cross-examine him, you're going to find out that he's going to say, oh, that's absolutely true. I have got additional reports. They just were never given to you.
What obligation does he have to disclose to you?
The prosecution has an obligation to report missing evidence, right? A VHS camera. He can't just say, it's missing, so I'm just not going to bother asking questions about it on direct examination and let the defense attorneys walk into a trap where the witness can say, oh yeah, what other videotapes are missing? Do they have a videotape of the crime being committed they haven't told us about that was lost? I mean, this is somewhat not the most important thing in the case, whether the skull was dragged out of the woods or wherever it came from. I'm just very concerned if by witness number 2 we're discovering that the prosecution knows there's missing evidence, missing surveillance cameras, missing police reports. They know that that's true, and they're not even telling us about it. It's bad enough that they're missing, which is understandable after 20 years to some extent. It's not understandable why they wouldn't tell us.
So the question then, Mr. Samuel, is what relief would you have the court give you in light of the fact that it wasn't disclosed to you? Is that not something that you can remedy on cross-examination and with this witness and argument?
I have no idea what he's going to say because I have no idea what this witness is going to say that hasn't been disclosed to us. The whole point of discovery in a criminal case is you give us your witness statements. Now it turns out he knows a lot more about this case.
I understand
that. They know, the prosecution knows.
My question was, what remedy would you have me fashion to address this issue if I agree with you that this is a problem? Is it
I
go
think-
talk to the detective and figure out what he's going to say before you have to cross-examine him in front of the jury?
I was actually going to suggest that you tell the jury, disregard the witness's statement as of now. At some point later in the trial, if they want to bring him back after disclosing to us the statements he gave to them that's missing from what they gave to us, if there's something more than the VHS, something more about the bleach, something more about whatever I haven't, stumbled upon yet. When a witness talks to them, that's a witness statement also that hasn't been turned over to us. Not just the witness statement that's lost, but what he told them last week is a witness statement that hasn't been disclosed to us. You can't interview a witness, find out relatively important information, and say, I'm not going to put it in writing, so the defense attorney's never going to learn about it.
Understand. Thank you, Mr.
I would ask that the witness you tell the jury not to pay attention to what the witness has testified to, and we'll bring them back later in the trial if appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders.
After the prosecution does what it's supposed to do.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes, I think I could understand, still wouldn't agree with it, but I could certainly understand Mr. Samuel's position if we were going to take his, I guess where he's going with it, there's some nefarious intents and bad faith on the part of the prosecution to do that. I will say I am not immune to oversight or overlooking items, but hindsight I would have. But I will say this: I had no intention on not turning that information over. I didn't think it was of any consequence. I thought at the minimum it would benefit the state. But finding that information out on the Friday or the Thursday before the trial, I did think that was somewhat of an ambush. And again, also at the same time, I would say this. I believe the defense has contacted just about every witness that we've had on the witness list since the beginning of this trial. Detective Kelly's name has been in the discovery since the discovery was turned over. There are 3 total detectives, and I know for a fact they've subpoenaed detectives from the patent investigation. And so if they had called the Detective Kelly, he would have been willing to speak with them. But to infer that there's some nefarious intent in the process of just simply preparing for trial and interviewing the witnesses, I think it's a bit much. At a minimum, at a maximum, I can understand the court we're going to instruct the jury to disregard the last statement, but to instruct the jury to disregard the entirety of his visual observations and testimony about that when he arrives at the scene, I don't believe there's any reason for the court to decide in that manner.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Let me try that again. Has the defense spoken or attempted to speak to Detective Kelly prior to today?
We have not, Your Honor, and I'm looking for the state's witness list that was sent to us currently because I don't think we were ever given any contact information for him, and he's retired, so usually not kept by the police department.
That the state provided does list Detective Kelly as Detective Dale Kelly, APD.
Okay.
So, that doesn't actually answer my question. Is your answer that you haven't attempted to contact Detective Kelly because you weren't provided contact information and you weren't able to otherwise locate him because he's retired?
That wouldn't be 100% honest, no.
Okay.
If I could say, I'm not sure the blame should be on us.
I'm not implying that I'm blaming you. I'm asking what information did the defense have that they could have exercised in terms, right? I'm just trying to understand the scope of this. It'd be one thing, for example, if y'all had tried to contact the detective and he'd refused to speak with you. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So
I understand that's your question. I'm not quite sure the consequence of it. If we trust the prosecution, that when they give us the reports, we have the reports.
if we have to go and consult all 18 of the witnesses on the list now, all 30 of the witnesses last week, and all 150 in the original list, and say what is missing from your police reports, this case wouldn't have been ready to be tried this year.
Okay.
But
Thank you, Mr.
understand
Samuel.
your question.
So I still think that the answer to the way to resolve this in the most expeditious manner is for y'all to go into that conference room with Detective Kelly and find out what he's going to say is missing from his report, because whether or not Mr. Fawcett should have told you is a different matter than whether or not this detective can testify truthfully about what he believes happened in response to questions. Mr. Fawcett is correct that they didn't solicit that testimony. And to the extent that you believe you've not been given complete information, Mr. Fawcett has made representations about what additional information he believes there is. And you can ask Mr. Detective Kelly those questions while we wait and bring the jury back in. I don't think, I mean, it's 2:40. I feel like an initial conversation with that detective to find out what else he's going to say and how many reports he thinks are missing. That's a fair conversation for y'all to have before I decide what to do about his testimony, or to simply have him retake the stand and let's continue his cross-examination with you having the benefit of the additional information that he believes is missing. Mr. Fawcett, is that, or Mr. Wilson? I think he's technically your witness, but.
He is. And so the court's going to go in, would the court allow a recess for them to speak with the witness?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm proposing.
I think that's the way to do it.
Okay. So, Mr. Wilson, if you will go and gather Detective Kelly, and y'all can either discuss it in the lobby or you can go into that conference room in the atrium there, or you can go in that conference room and discuss with him what items he believes are missing or that sort of thing. Thank you. We are in recess until 3 o'clock, or if y'all come back sooner than that or later, tell me. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in a moment, Mr. Samuel is going to resume his examination of this witness. Before he does, I'm just going to instruct you that this detective's testimony regarding a surveillance showing a dog, that information, that I am instructing you to disregard that testimony. Do you understand? Any problem with complying with that instruction? Okay. Thank you all. Mr. Samuel, you may resume your examination.
Thank you. Detective Kelly, you mentioned on your direct examination something about bleach, and I want to clarify that as well. Am I correct that you don't have any independent knowledge that there was bleach in the bags? Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. In fact, what you've learned was that the bleach was put on the jawbone and on the skull at the crime lab or at the medical examiner's office, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So there wasn't bleach in the bags. There was decomposition of
Fluid.
flesh and whatever, but there wasn't bleach that was put in the bag,
No.
correct?
Yes, there's an understanding between me and somebody else.
Speak up a little bit for these old ears.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, you indicated before that you were missing some police reports, right? Or at least one. And during the break, you and I had a quick conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
And the police report that's missing is the one dealing with the second time you all went out to the scene. The first time is in April, the second time is in June. Is that correct?
Well, I was provided more reports that I did not have or was not given to me at this time. And then the one I'm referring to now is 6/3 of 99.
Right, and that one you don't have and nobody has, but you and I discussed it, so it's as good as if we had a police report,
Yes.
right? Okay, so in June you go back out there and you're in the same general vicinity or somewhere out there, is that right?
The wooded area.
Wooded area.
Yeah.
You're not on the road anymore.
No, sir.
And now we have black plastic bags, no bleach or anything, but black plastic bags that have different parts of
different parts of the skeleton, frankly, right?
Of human remains, yes, sir.
Human remains, okay. And you gathered those up, and they all get sent to either the medical examiner or the crime lab, correct?
Well, no, I did not gather them. I did
You were
not
present.
touch. I was present when
Yes.
it was being done. The medical examiner's office was there. They took custody of them immediately.
Right, and they've taken me either to the Fulton Medical Examiner or eventually the crime lab, or someone we'll be hearing from later on in this trial.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you actually see where the black bags were found in the wooded area? Were you watching as they were collected, even though you don't put hands on them?
Yes.
Okay. And the people who were putting hands on are
Medical examiner.
they wearing gloves?
Yes.
I'm sorry. We have a problem.
Medical examiner.
Double problem. My ears and your soft voice.
Medical examiner and their investigator that was out there.
And they wear gloves, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gloving.
Right. And so on these bags, if there's DNA evidence on any of these bags, presumably it's not going to be crime lab people or detectives because you all are too careful about that, right?
They were. I was not touching anything.
Right. You don't touch them, and they're wearing gloves like you
Yeah.
see the crime lab people on TV always doing. Okay. Now, were these bags buried?
I don't remember. Some of them were buried very shallow.
Okay. So just kind of give us an overview. That you're in a wooded area. They're like buried under leaves, or did you have to use shovels to dig dirt out?
I don't recall.
Okay, fair enough. It's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
There were paths through the wooded area. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Were some of the bags just simply placed on a path?
I don't recall if they were placed simply on a path or not.
Okay, well, you wouldn't know. Placed is a verb that you wouldn't know, but were they located on the side of the path or right in the path?
I'm going to say on the side.
Okay, so anybody walking on a path would have seen the bag, presumably.
You would think, yes.
Okay, and it's now June of 1999.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the first time, as far as you know, that those bags were ever moved from the path or the side of the path.
Yes.
Was there any evidence that you remember, and I know you don't have the report, it's missing, but in your memory, do you remember seeing loose dirt as if other people, the cadaver dogs, were digging up the ground as opposed to the bags being on the
I
surface?
don't recall.
Very good. Okay. Those are my questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, redirect?
They just have one.
Sure. Thank you, sir. You may step down. You are excused as a witness. State may call its next witness.
We call Tina Miller.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'll come up to the witness stand, and once you get here, before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in court today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, I do. You may be seated, lower your hand. State and swear your name for the court reportedly.
Tina, Tina, Miller, Miller.
Where do you work, ma'am?
I currently work for the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner's Office
How long have you worked there for?
since 2018.
What did you do before that?
Prior to that, I worked for the Atlanta Police Department. I retired as a lieutenant in 2014.
Were you a certified law enforcement officer while you were working with the city of Atlanta?
That's correct, yes.
Could you kind of tell the jury about your go quickly through your career as a law enforcement officer.
Okay. Right out of high school, I went into the United States Army, where I was trained as a military police soldier. When I got out, my goal has always been to go into law enforcement. I got that basic training there in the military. When I got out of the Army, I applied to the Atlanta Police Department. I was hired in 1984, started my training with them, and retired in 2014. While at the Atlanta Police Department, I served in Zone 6 as a patrol officer. I was promoted to detective. A couple of years later, I was assigned to narcotics, where I spent 5 years working undercover and buying and working drugs in the city of Atlanta. I spent 5 years working fugitive after that. Then I went to the homicide unit, where initially I worked aggravated assaults, and then went on to do adult missing persons in the homicide unit.
And could you describe the duties of an adult missing persons detective, what you did?
Yes, any adult missing in the city, 17 and older, would come to my desk, and I would follow up on the case, contact the reporting person, and do legwork in an attempt to find the individual. Typically, what I would do is go out to neighborhoods. If they had a substance abuse problem, I would go out to the neighborhoods they were known to frequent and see if I could locate them, get word on the street that their family was missing them, and I had a pretty good success rate with getting them or finding them.
And were you called in to assist on a case of a skull found in April, the end of April of 1999?
Yes, I was.
Could you please tell the jury what the circumstances of that were?
I was working homicide and doing missing persons, and my lieutenant would have me go out on scenes where situations like that, you know, if we had a missing person or we had somebody, we didn't know who they were. And on this particular day, the call came in that Uniform had responded to a call where there was a human skull in the roadway, and went out there with him and Detective Kelly. So I rode with the lieutenant, and we went out and secured the scene and took information and worked the scene.
And where was that located?
On Avon Avenue.
And was that in the city of Atlanta?
Yes, it was.
Fulton County, Georgia?
Yes, it was.
Did you, when you first got to, what do you recall when you first got to the scene?
Obviously, Uniform had responded, and they had blocked off the roadway with crime scene tape. And I remember seeing the skull sitting upright in the roadway with a white stick in front of it, or a painted white piece of wood. And there was a black trash bag, and also various items that had probably come out of the bag or off of the skull in the roadway.
And is it, I know you didn't do it, but is it important to document the crime scene using photographs?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked in States Exhibit 21 and 22. I'm sorry, may I approach?
Yes.
Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
What are they?
They are crime scene photographs of extremities in a black trash bag that were found by me later when we went back out to the scene to search for additional remains.
And are those accurate, true and accurate depictions of the scene?
Yes, they are.
Or at this time, I'd ask that 21 and 22 be admitted into evidence.
Mr. McDermott?
Objection.
Okay. 21 and 22 are admitted.
Now let's go back to the 29th of April. I'm going to show you what's been previously entered as States Exhibit number 3.
Do you mean the 28th of April or 29th?
29th of April, 2000.
Is that the initial call?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Now you can see on the, you can look on the screen. And that States Exhibit 3 is that's That depicts the scene at Avon Avenue?
Yes, it does.
Could you kind of point out to the jury what significant things are on the street?
Am I pointing up here?
Yes, actually, that's probably a good idea. Your Honor, may the witness have permission to leave the stand to help?
Sure, just a reminder to speak up so that the court reporter and the rest of the courtroom can hear
Okay.
you. Thank you, ma'am.
Here we have the skull, which is now sitting upright with the white board in front of it. Here's the black trash bag, and these are items that either came out of the bag or came off the skull, because the skull, it was believed, had been struck out in the roadway.
Did you closely observe that skull?
Yes,
And did there appear to be damage to the bone structure?
yes.
And what damage was there?
I can't recall specifically, but I can't recall specifically. Because there were pieces.
Show you what's been marked as states 4. What does that show?
That shows, again, a different angle of the scene where it's down toward, I believe it's down toward Hartford, looking up Avon Avenue.
And what is significant in that picture as far as this investigation?
Again, you could see the skull, you can see the black trash bag, and other miscellaneous like parts that may have been skin or bone.
Let me show you what's been marked as states 5. What does that depict?
Closer photograph.
Show you state 6. Is that a different photograph of it?
Yes, this is more toward the railroad tracks, looking back to your right.
Let me show you what's been marked, or what's been entered, excuse me, in State's Exhibit number 11. And what is that a picture of?
That is the black trash bag.
There's a yellow card that has, for lack of a better term, the number 2 on it. What is that?
That is a marker that was, I believe it was put out by the medical examiner's office to indicate later that they could diagram what was there by the number and reference it later as to what was there.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 15. And that is?
That's the actual skull in the roadway.
And where was that in location to? Are you familiar with the business next or very close named Action Glass?
Yes.
How far is that away from Action Glass?
Not very far. If you walk back on the other behind, like going to the right here, you would go to the intersection, and the glass company is right across the street at that intersection.
And if you observed the skull, was there any decompensation or decomposition
Yes, it was.
about that skull? How would you categorize that?
Advanced decomposition.
As the skull sat there, were you able to make any identifications at all?
Absolutely not.
Could you tell anything about that other than it was a skull?
No, not at all. Not on that particular day, no.
How long were you out at the scene?
Probably a few hours.
Okay. And did you do anything? Did you do anything else at that scene on that day?
I assisted with anything that the homicide investigators needed to be done, and I also assisted Mary Beth Hoptel in photographing by just showing her, pointing out different items in the roadway that may be related to the skull.
Okay. But she actually took pictures?
Absolutely.
Not you?
No, I did not.
What else did you do that day?
I believe that was it.
Okay. Were you out there on a different, well, did you do any, what work did you do on that case starting that day?
Well, initially, the case was handled by a homicide investigator. And once the medical examiner's office collected the remains, because basically they handle remains or a decedent on the scene. And I was in communication with them and assisting the homicide detective in trying to find out who this individual was.
Was it important to find other parts of the individual?
Yes.
And had you been able to do that yet?
No, not at that time, not that day, no.
Okay. So what's the next significant day that occurs in your investigation?
The next time was probably, I think, June 3rd of '99. Initially, there was some question that particular head belonged to an individual that was not in the Atlanta area. The investigators were able to determine that head did not belong to the individual in Middle Georgia. They found all of their remains. And it was determined by dental that our skull did not go with that body. And so my supervisor suggested that I get a cadaver dog, and a cadaver dog is trained to sniff for human remains and go back out there, which we did.
Who all went out there with you that day?
The medical examiners had sent investigators out, and also the homicide unit was out there. And because the area we were going to check was railroad property, we had 2 railroad detectives as well assisting us.
And you remember what side of the street the skull was found on?
Correct.
Was that where you were searching?
We were searching. There's a wooded area which would be across from the skull, and we were searching the other side of that as well as that wooded area.
And were you able to find anything?
No.
How long were you out there searching?
Probably all morning.
And you were also using a cadaver dog?
Yes, we were.
And there was, how many people do you think there was approximately?
Maybe 8.
How long did you stay searching at that?
They stayed for several hours, and then another call came up, and when the other homicide call came up, they all left to go handle that call, and me, the dog handler, and the 2 railroad policemen stayed.
And what happened next?
We were standing there discussing, kind of what to do next or further options, and a gentleman that owned the garage on the corner came out, and he said, you might want to check the wooded area behind my shop. He said people use that as a cut through, and there's people back there doing drugs, and you might want to check that, and we did.
And what did you find?
The railroad policeman didn't go with us, but me and the dog handler entered the wooded area, and there was kind of a path, so we're kind of walking through the path, and I'm following the dog. And the dog kept going, and I noticed off to the side a black trash bag, and I picked up the trash bag, and it was rather heavy. I opened the trash bag, and an item of clothing fell out. And it looked kind of moldy and off-colored. Well, there was another bag inside that was also it was heavy. And so I pulled it open, and when I pulled it open, I saw flesh. And I pulled it open a little more, and I saw the beginnings of toes on a foot. And at that point, I realized we'd found additional human remains, and I believe that to be a female foot.
Okay, who all was out there at that point?
Me and the dog handler.
And then what did you do next?
At this point, the dog had gone ahead of me, and the dog went around to an area kind of behind where I was, and found the leg and thigh that was in that photograph.
Okay, and let me go ahead and have you take a look at States 21. And what does States 21 describe?
That is the thigh, lower leg bone that the dog hit on.
Was that originally in a bag?
I believe so, but not when we found it.
Okay.
Because there's a trash bag that was nearby.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 22. Could you describe it? And what is that?
That is a black trash bag.
And was there anything inside of that?
Now, I can't tell from that photograph if that's the one that was next to the thigh and lower leg bone, or if that was another one.
How many trash bags did you find out at that scene?
I actually just dealt individually with the two, but other bags were recovered. Once I found realized what we had, I immediately contacted my supervisor in homicide to let them know we had additional remains and they needed to return to where I was, my location.
Now let me ask you this: how far were those bags from where the skull was initially discovered?
Not very far. The street ran in front of the little junkyard car repair place. This was directly behind it, so not even a block.
And how long did you stay on the scene for that?
Several hours, because the medical examiner's office came out. We, searched that area and found the additional bags, and then they collected them. After they documented where they were, photographed them, then they collected them.
And there's a business action glass?
Yes.
How far was action glass from the discovery of the additional evidence on the first video?
Right across the street.
So within
50 feet, if that far.
What did you do next?
On that particular day, again, the remains were collected by the medical examiner's office, and they were taken to the medical examiner's office for the examination. and I assisted the homicide guys with whatever. I had gone back and I checked again for my records, and I did not have a missing person fitting any description in that area.
So what did you do next on this case?
Again, just assisted the, do you want me to fast forward?
Sure.
Okay, I was promoted out of homicide, and well, before then I worked with the medical examiner's office in trying to find out, you know, did we have a white male, black male, male, female, what did we have with the skull? And the people, the individuals at the medical examiner's office determined that the skull belonged to a white male. I didn't agree with that, but they were the experts, and so it was listed on the system as a white male. And what we did was we put the individual, we put the skull for sure, and we had to do them separately because at this point we didn't know they were the same person. I put the individual on GCIC, which is the Georgia Crime Information Network, and then there's the NCIC, which is the national database. And in a perfect world, that is set up so that when we put that information in, if there's a missing person that fits that description, as limited as we have, we would get a hit on it. And it would say, hey, look at this person. This may be who this is. That did not happen.
Okay. May I just have a moment?
Yes.
What else did you have to do with this case?
Again, I met regularly with Dr. Terry and talked to her about the case.
Who's Dr. Terry?
She's, at the time, she was a medical examiner working out of Fulton County. She's a forensic pathologist that was looking, at the time, we were working together looking at the unidentifieds that she had in her office and the missing persons I had in my office. And we were comparing notes, trying to get our individuals identified.
Okay, but as far as the scene and everything, that completed your work on this case?
Yes, that completed my work.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
Your Honor, I hate to do this, but I just received, literally just now, about 70 or 80 new photos of this particular crime scene with bags, and I would ask the court to have a brief recess to be able to line some of these new photos up, choose a few to talk to her about this.
Okay.
Krause.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to step out for just a moment while we get ready to examine this witness further. It is 3:32, and I'll have you back in here as quickly as I can. Thank you.
All right, for the jury.
Thank you. Please be seated. Anything you need from me while you do that?
Not really, thank you.
Okay. Then we are, say, maybe a 10-minute recess until 3:45.
15 when we go further.
Okay. 3:50 it is. Ma'am, if you will step down, you can just hang out outside, but don't wander far, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We are in recess until